Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Bitcoin price prediction based on Elliott Wave analysis. This is indicators analysis for Bitcoin as usual for every Sunday. So I wish you a happy Sunday, and we'll see of course what Bitcoin is doing as per Elliott Wave of course first, and then we see how the indicators are aligning with the Elliott Wave. We're gonna see the RSI, MACD, KGT, and the volume as well. So stay tuned, and let's start of course with the Elliott Wave here, possibilities on the lower time frame, where we are looking at a potential finished W, X, and a Y. And that because of course of a finished here 3 waves, and we got invalidation of anything impulsive toward the upside. We have considered that this move is a diagonal, as if you remember, we have a zigzag 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, potential finished wave 1 or a wave A, of course, and we're looking here at 3 waves exactly in our testing area, 100% hit, and we saw of course the push towards the downside again, of course, very aggressively. And of course during the weekend we're expecting anyway a range sideways here. Nothing is yet of course in a formation of something bullish. I see still of course weakness, and we still might of course drop down for Bitcoin into possibilities here on the lower time frame. So the first possibility is that we might be of course in our impulse from the all-time high here, where we have start of course the formation of a 1-2, and we have of course the wave 3 still unfolding toward the downside. The wave 3 is a 1-2, 1-2, and then wave 3 given, and you're looking for wave 4 unfolding where it took the high, finished wave 4, then we're looking currently for a wave 5. The wave 5 has to be of course hitting the 71k and the 74k 500 in this blue box area of course as a wave 5, and then having another 4 and a 5 to finish of course a wave C here in an expanding flat. Of course we are in a wave C expanding flat on the daily. You can go back to the deep analysis. Yesterday I made of course a very detailed deep analysis for the all-time history and also for the lower time frame, so you can know much better what I'm talking about when I say a wave C in an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, the next possibility on the 2 hours, 1 hour chart here is also an ABC expanding flat. So since we took the high here, it can be of course a W, X, and a Y here, or a potential ABC simply finished as a wave A. We got of course here also potential it can be of course in a wave A, and you can be looking here at an expanding flat wave B, right? So an A, B, and a C, where you took already the high here of the start of the wave A, and then pushing toward the upside, of course, even still, of course, a corrective wave here in a bigger, of course, a correction as an expanding flat. And this, of course, can be a possible scenario, but of course, you would like to see this area broken toward the downside, meaning if the price stopped there, can be even of course a shorter wave 5, but don't forget that you want to take the low here, so preferably to reach the 0.618 for a wave 5. But if the price stops over there, well, it is very likely as well to be in an ABC here, and then pushing for higher later on a little bit, and then of course continue the bear market in different psychology again. Higher possibility is the wave 5. Very simple. So let's start of course with our indicator and to see how it is of course aligning with our possibilities here. We're gonna start with the 1 hour chart for the RSI. On the 1 hour chart, we can see, of course, that the RSI is still consolidating with the price action and following exactly the price movement. Nothing is very strong as, I would say, as a divergence or convergence as well. It is a very consolidating within the price. But of course, therefore, this means we have to follow Elliott Wave, of course, much more here. Possibility, which it is, of course, a diagonal there, a move towards the downside. We're still corrective, and we might, of course, push towards the downside. And the RSI might follow the same, of course, on the 1 hour chart. On the 4 hours chart here, also we can see that we have a bullish divergence actually on the 4 hour chart here. Interesting that we have a very clear bullish divergence, but potentially, of course, it might play in case the 4 hour chart wants to seek for something much more higher. can be a possibility, unless of course it simply take a bigger divergence here, and then of course pushing later on for something for higher. But interesting, we have to take it of course into consideration that there is a bullish divergence over there, that it might play. Of course, I hope that it's not finished just by there, or I mean this move there. We'll see, of course. I mean, the next price, if will drop down or take the low there, that means, of course, yes, it is finished. Yeah, it is finished, but also still remarkable. Like it can open for something bullish after it. Interesting. On the daily, the RSI here also showing an exhaustion for the selling. As you can see, of course, we took the high, and of course you see here a convergence, almost a very massive exhaustion, I would say, because of course it has moved very fast, but the price was not really that strong, meaning of course, yeah, that is a very clear exhaustion there. We're looking for Bitcoin. Now, from the top there as well on the daily, if we take this and this one, well, we'll see a conversion still, of course, open. That means, of course, lower prices still can be, of course, opening toward the downside as well. For the RSI, this is not a problem to move toward the downside as well. For the weekly, we have, of course, a clear bullish divergence again. I mean, it has started to, once we start to see, of course, something unfolding differently there. This is a very strong bullish, I would say, signal, but yeah, we had to be careful. It didn't continue. It shows, of course, something like, okay, I'm unfolding something different here. I'm not going to continue very fast toward the downside. But after, of course, ranging for a while here correctively, well, it might be finished, guys. It might continue to drop down. And, of course, even breaking this divergence, becoming, of course, convergence, and continue to drop toward the downside. Yep, so this is regarding the RSI here. Well, I would say as a conclusion, in the macro level, it has started to show weakness and continuation toward the downside. Now, on the micro level, it might potentially show something toward the upside again, but it's still corrective. Don't forget, of course, on the Elliott Wave, despite that we have something as a divergence on the 4-hour chart here, yeah, so for the bullish, but I doubt it, guys. Yeah, so I doubt this this divergence that I'm talking about. I think it is finished simply with this move there, and we continue toward the downside with both the RSI and the price. So we gotta be careful. Mostly it is bearish, of course, on the RSI. Let's move for the MACD. Starting with the MACD on the 1-hour chart here, of course, we can see that the price is consolidating around the center line of the MACD. It is the weekend as well, range and very boring. But don't forget, of course, that the push toward the downside here is, of course, very clear as per Elliott Wave. We might continue toward the downside, and of course, since everything here is just neutral, I believe that it might follow, of course, the price here as per Elliott Wave as well on the 1-hour chart. On the 4-hour chart, okay, we have something here potentially unfolding as a bullish cross, but it's still not yet, of course, strong enough. We would like to see, of course, push toward the upside here in case this wants to play as a signal. So if we see higher prices, well, very likely, okay, that it might open something as bullish here, starting a momentum. But if it fails again, yeah, so we gotta be careful. This might transform to something very bearish, meaning, of course, a very slow momentum for the bulls here and pushing for lower, of course. So we gotta be careful. Don't forget that the line and the MACD line are below the center. So yeah, it's not very strong, I would say. For the daily, we are very close for a bearish cross here, and the momentum, of course, double momentums we got here. Very clear, of course, the selling here was this small momentum, which is gonna push the market for higher. When this happens on the MACD, it's a very nice signal always. And of course, when you get here the bearish cross, you might, of course, continue to drop down, unless, of course, again, if we see something for higher, especially that here on the daily, the MACD and the signal lines are above the center, it might, of course, play something higher again, refreshing the momentum, probably. We'll see, guys. But I doubt it a little bit. I mean, it's a very long range momentum. so far for the bulls here. So it might, of course, dive a little bit deeper. Now, on the 4 days, or on the 4 days, it is, of course, a bullish cross, but I prefer to take the weekly here directly into consideration. So, of course, the weekly is getting closer to the bullish cross. The momentum is reducing for the bears, but don't forget that it doesn't mean that it cannot refresh the things. Yeah, so it can refresh a new momentum there, of course, for wave 5, as we have mentioned, in case it wants to drop down. So we gotta be careful as well with it. So I would say the MACD again. I mean, the MACD in the macro level, it shows actually a little bit chances to push for higher. But on the micro level, I would say it's very neutral. On the 4-hour chart, also show a little bit potential for higher with this bullish cross potential scenario, because it can flip on us or reverse, but be careful with it. But there is a potential of bullish there, but I don't see it, guys. Again, the Elliott Wave is always the strongest guide that you have to follow, of course, with your decision. The indicator can help you to confirm it or not. But of course, to help me confirming something to push for higher, I would like to see a momentum pushing for higher here, yeah, and breaking this correction. All right, so this is regarding the MACD. Let's move to the KGT right now. So the KGT, of course, has a very significant development here. I was working also on the KGT lately to make it much more simpler. I simplified it, of course, to show where is the bullish and where is the bearish scenario, and especially when you get double signals following each other's, which is a very strong signal, of course, for something bearish. Now, it became, of course, for me, the most accurate indicator. I know that I developed this indicator, and that's why I trust it. I know what it does. And of course, yeah, I see it a little bit much more accurate from even other indicators. So as you can see, double signals is given here for the bearish. We can see, of course, a convergence and coming in, and we see, of course, a very likely potential drop down here for Bitcoin. Now, after giving the bullish signal here, of course, we saw another bearish signal, and which is double. For the 5-minute chart as well, a little bit bigger a chart here, or time frame, we can see as well that we have a convergence from the top here, from this top, this signal, and of course still in convergence, meaning we are bearish. Currently, the bullish has failed to continue toward the upside. Of course, we push a little bit, but yeah, it has failed. We got the bearish signal after it directly, and here we are. Yeah, if you are interested, of course, in something much more lower time frame, which is a little bit more like scalping, well, you can go, of course, to the 30-second or 10 seconds, and you will see, of course, some signals, but those are very low time frame. Better to be just for scalping, guys, not something, of course, to rely on for a midterm or daily trading. So if you are on daily trading, also rely always on the 3-minute and the 5-minute chart. And if you are interested, of course, in KGT, in the new version, it will be released soon, of course, and everyone who already purchased it will get, of course, the update for it. So you can get it by joining our lifetime membership for Discord, and of course, you will get there our KGT indicator. Yep, so this is regarding the indicator. I see, of course, a very strong move toward the downside, and of course, it might push, yeah, for lower, especially with this pattern. Again, I repeat, it doesn't look something bullish. Much more likely, of course, to continue the drop towards the downside. And finally, we're gonna see, of course, the volume here. So for the volume, we are looking here, of course, a little bit higher amount of volume, of course, where we start to drop down even when we moved up. But the volume here shows, of course, the high amount of volume shows that the drop is something interesting, that it might open toward the downside here. It can be the wave 1, 2 here, and then wave 3. Normally you get high amount of volume when you have a wave 1. So we gotta be careful. On the 1-hour chart as well, yeah, you got a high amount of volume as well in this ABC, meaning it's a finished structure here. And of course, we're pushing toward the downside, very likely in a 1, 2 here. and then pushing for lower again. So we gotta be careful. The volume has been given as well in this area, meaning of course finished wave 2 potentially, and we push toward the downside. On the daily for the volume as well, we are looking here for the highest amount of volume, of course, finished within the structure potential wave 3. Now, if we are looking for wave 5, I'm expecting also another amount of volume. We start to see, by the way, a lot of red. It might, of course, continue to reach, of course, a little bit lower, but very high volume to finish a wave 5. So we gotta be careful with it. It might be, of course, unfolding very, very soon. I'm expecting the same on the weekly here, of course. Yeah, I'm expecting a volume, which it might be, of course, lower, but it might be a wave 5. And to finish a wave C, don't forget, as an ABC expanding flat and then pushing toward the upside. Those are the indicators analysis for Bitcoin. And of course, the conclusion is, of course, we're pushing for lower in the highest possibility here for Bitcoin for the micro level to finish up, of course, our wave C as an expanding flat over there. And of course, yeah, great save, guys, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.